have you with us today. The way financial advice is delivered in Singapore is changing rapidly. We're seeing the industry move beyond traditionally tight distribution towards more open, client-centric advisory models that's creating both exciting opportunities and new challenges for insurers, advisors, and customers alike. So today's conversation is a preview of our upcoming webinar on the 10th of September, where we'll dive deeper into how AI, data, and governance are reshaping the future of financial advice. But before we get there, I'd love to start with what you're seeing on the ground today. So Singapore is moving from a very tight product-led world to a more open advisory ecosystem. From where you sit, what is really driving this shift right now, and what does it mean for insurers and advisors on the ground?
Yeah, so that's a great question. As we've seen through our white paper, The Great Advisory Reset, the shift from tied to open architecture to choice is being driven by three different factors. One is customer demand. So customers are aware that not one product solution is the right decision in every event. So they want more choice, okay? And they want to do a bit more research. And with the advancement of technology, everybody's got a supercomputer and an intelligence device on their smartphone, right, from an AI perspective. So people don't necessarily make quick decisions now in terms of going with one product or one provider. So there's definitely an element of customer demand, which is driving that. The other part to this, which can't be ignored, is kind of the economics, right? So having more choice from an advisor perspective, having a stronger proposition to go to market supports the ability of what you can offer to the customer. And then the other element is definitely from a regulatory point of view. We've seen in other markets where regulators have wanted to make it very clear to customers that they are being offered a tied environment, or they're being offered a semi-tied environment or open architecture. So I think the regulations allow for that framework to be very transparent for the customer as well.
Thank you. And is this more about customer expectations or about regulation and economics?
So economics play a part. I think the pressure that is being applied from an agent environment is certainly there. But the customer demand in terms of their awareness of choice and their awareness of what's available from an advice perspective is also an important part, an important element to that.
Thank you. And when you look at how advice is actually delivered in Singapore today, what are some of the technology and AI already changing the experience, right? Like even if the customer doesn't see it on the surface.
Yeah, so that's probably in three areas. One will be, which the customer, as you rightly say, won't see, but it's been around for quite some time. So pre-underwriting. So the algorithms assessing the level of risk of what can go straight through processed, so STP, or what needs to be handed off to an underwriter for a decision. So when the information from a customer is being ingested, now we see tools available that can allow straight through processing, and the algorithm and the AI is in there making those important decisions of what can go straight through, what can go hand off to an underwriter. So that would be the first one. Second one would probably be financial needs analysis, or EFNA as people call it, like electronic financial needs analysis. So that's helping, from an advisor perspective, filter down and prioritize customer needs. But the customer won't know, but what it will also do is it will also filter to, okay, achieving the goal under the need, but it will also filter the product range. So what's available. So whether that's protection, health, education, retirement, legacy planning, that will be filtered to a product range. And the customer won't see that either. And then the final piece would probably be around the claims experience as well. So it's less on the distribution side and more on the operation side, but obviously part of insurance is claims, and then where assessment of claim and speed of claims turnaround, there's AI that will be supporting those decision-making processes.
So I think you mentioned obviously quite a bit of things. I think one of the interesting things would be to share one practical example of AI or data making advice more personal or more efficient.
Yeah, I guess the efficiency is the real play at the moment. And speed, we all as consumers and as customers have a higher expectation of speed of delivery, whether that's instant gratification, whether it's food delivery, in all of our service environments, whether it's banking, whether it's insurance or any financial institution. So our expectations are, how can this be done faster? And the example that I used of pre-underwriting is probably the best one, because you can sit with your financial advisor and you can walk through an interview process and through a financial advice process and be on risk and completed when you leave that meeting. So the best practical example and the clearest evidence would be straight through processing, where auto underwriting has gone through and the AI in the background has assessed the level of risk, accepted the level of risk, and issued a policy, all within minutes.
Thank you. And as firms lean more on data and AI, what does it take to maintain trust in terms of governance, transparency, and the balance between algorithms as well as human advisors?
Well, I think we can't underestimate and ignore what the MAS have done here. The consultation closed in January January this year. And that consultation was going out to all financial institutions around risk assessment of AI. So understanding where the transparency is and engaging with the market is key. We are yet to see the output of that. But in all of our interactions, if you think about insurance specifically, and you think about there are key moments where AI should not be used, where empathy, death of a loved one, critical illness, where you need to speak to a human. And the organizations that get that right, balancing between efficiency, personalization, and that human connection, are the ones that will really, really win. So the clients that we deal with, the clients that we work with, are doing a lot of assessment of where AI can play a role and where it doesn't play a role, if that makes sense, and where you need that human connection.
And what are one or two signals a board should watch to know if AI-enabled advice is still serving customers' best interests?
I think that's about segmentation. So when you think about a complexity and simplicity matrix of, okay, insurance is a very broad business where you can have very simple products that you may be very comfortable to make a decision based off of an AI chatbot, interaction, whether it's travel insurance, whether it's car insurance, and more simplistic products. But then when you go up the spectrum to more complex products and a different segment of customers, the expectations are higher and the complexity is higher, whether that's investment advice, whether that's suitability, affordability, and making those kind of decisions. I think that's where you have to think about the implications of AI, and I think boards are certainly looking at how they can balance those two scenarios of simplicity, where it's efficient and where it's the right thing and customers want that speed and experience, versus more complex models where it's full holistic financial planning, where investment decisions and risk appetite and more kind of sophisticated products need to be considered. So I think from a board point of view, that's about understanding, education, and kind of doing that AI risk assessment in terms of, and also AI kind of materiality assessment. So how is it going to be material to the business?
So we have the last question for today, and if you're looking ahead to the next 3 to 5 years, what are the top priorities that insurers and advisory firms in Singapore should focus on to stay competitive in this new advisory landscape?
Yeah, and I think that we're in danger of trying to predict the future, right? So what I would say is the key to the success of the major insurance companies as we go forward is embracing the technology and what that can bring for their customers, focusing on the customer pain points. We still have a lot to fix. There is still a lot of slow turnaround in terms of speeds of claims turnaround, processing applications. There's still a lot to be done between the reality of what can be done and what is the actual experience for many insurance companies. So there's a lot to be done around core modernization, around microservices, around using AI for good, around the blending that human element with technology. We've seen recently in the press the speculation around the divestment of HSBC Life and potentially rumoured in the press for Allianz to be maybe making that acquisition. I think that comes back to the earlier point around, do you want to be a manufacturer or a distributor? And I think we're going to see more on that in terms of, if you are going to manufacture products and distribute products, you're probably going to need to widen your choice and widen the proposition for a customer base, and then segment that proposition to target the right customer segments, right from wealth transfer, high net worth, which is huge in Singapore, is driving unit-linked investment plans, big in Singapore as well, right through to the more simplistic products. Segmenting those customer bases and providing different journeys for those customers will be key. And if you are a distributor, the technology will support and make that more efficient for customers, or should. If you're a manufacturer, how do you make sure that you manufacture relevant, personalized products? It's probably what the next 3 to 5 years looks like. We can look at other markets, and we can learn from other markets as well.
Well, looks like there's a lot to cover. Well, Simon, thank you. That was a fantastic conversation. So for everyone that is watching as well, this is just a taste of what we'll be exploring during our webinar on the 10th of September. You'll be hearing from Simon and a couple of other speakers, and we'll be taking a much deeper look at evolving distribution models, AI, data, strategies, governance, and how firms can continue delivering advice that customers truly trust. Well, Simon, thank you once again for joining us, and to everyone that is watching, we'll hope you join us at the webinar on the 10th of September. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you very much.